her water broke. Um, so we got in the car. I took her because I was going to be in the delivery room with her. So on our way, pains was hitting her. She went from 4 minutes to the car ride 2 minutes apart. So we're timing them. On the phone with my daughter. She was on the phone with the hospital. They was aware that we was on the way. So once we pulled up, I had my blankets on. We passed police and everything. So in a safe zone, was going through lights to get her there as quickly as possible. Pulled up to the emergency room. We saw two nurses. Under assumption, they are waiting on us. I get out the car, open the door for her, go up to the door. When she realized my vehicle wasn't an ambulance, she told me that space was for an ambulance only. So we could hear my daughter in the car, and I said my daughter's in active labor. Her labor is now 2 minutes apart. Her contractions, her water bag already broke. Her water broke. And she continued to direct me to the front of the hospital. She then walked away from me and went back into the building. So I had to get back in my car, drive my daughter to the front, which if you know how that hospital is set up, you don't go in front of a door. It's off on the side. So my daughter can't walk. She has no control of her body at this point. I had to leave her, run into the building, and ask for assistance. I was told that there should be a wheelchair outside with the vending machines. When I advised them that there was no wheelchair out there, one of the ladies got up, she went to the back, she brought a wheelchair out to the side door where they normally would let patients in. And she said, "Here you go, ma'am." I said, "I need assistance with getting her. Are you not going to help me?" And she politely said no and closed the door. So that was a security guard that was walking in or already there. I'm not sure. He walked up to me. He said, "I got you. I can help you." So we ran out to get my daughter. When we opened the door, she was on all fours, and she was screaming. And I told her, take a breath. Once we got her situated, got her in the chair, he took her in. I parked my vehicle, and once I ran into the vehicle, I see her parked on the side, isolated, alone, in pain, by herself, people behind the desk working as normal, as they didn't hear her. I walked up to them, and I was like, "What are we doing?" "She's in active labor. She is about to have that baby." And they said, "We need the paperwork." I said, "What paperwork?" "She has it." And I look over there, she literally had the paper in her hand, arched like a cat, screaming. And I grabbed the paperwork. It was like 6 to 8 pieces of paper, disclosure clauses. And I'm like, "Are you really wanting us to get this?" And she's in labor. And that lady looked at me and she said, "The quicker you sign, the quicker we can get her in the back." I had her scribble something. I gave them the papers. I said, "Here's your papers." Once she got the papers, she walked around, and the nurse that was on camera opened the door, and she stood there. And she was looking, and I was like, "Can I get some help?" And she just stood there. And she wasn't even looking at us. She walked back in, she left the door open, and she walked back in the room. So when we pushed her into the room, she's still arching, and she was like, "My baby, is here. And I was like, why are we not going to labor and delivery? I walked out of the room, and the nurse that met me at the back door was up at the front. I was talking to the registers, and they was telling her, hey, she's in active labor. That nurse told the registers, we need the paperwork, and she walked off. At this point, I pulled out my camera. They had another young lady at the window. She said she is about to start recording. She said, let her. It is what it is. So I walked back in the room, and this woman was typing. My daughter still screaming in pain. I can feel. And I'm like, are we going? I pulled on the door that goes into the hospital. It was locked. So the door to get her help was locked. The door to exit the building was open. And I was trying to get her to move along. She just kept with her questions. How many pregnancies do you have? She asked her that question maybe 4 times. My daughter answered it 4 times. How many children do you have at home? She just kept going with these generic questions and just dragging it out. And at that point, I'm looking at her, I'm looking at my daughter. And I asked the question, is this how you treat all of your patients or just the black ones? No response. Kept with her questions. And I looked at my child, who was, at this point, she was just weakened. She had no power, no control over her body, her words. She was trembling. And I'm looking at this woman that don't look like us, that had no emotions, no compassion. She wouldn't look at her. She wouldn't help her. My daughter was asking, can you get anesthesia for me? Can you get, and that was nothing. We had a person of power that did not use their power for good or to help, but to take the easy way out and just be easy. It was all about the paperwork. It wasn't about my daughter, her pain, what she was going through, and worst of all, my grandson, who had no voice. He wasn't even considered. They totally ignored everything that was going on in that room until she felt like she was satisfied with the information she got. And then she made the call. And the call was very casual. It wasn't no sense of urgency. I have a young lady. She's here, and just, she got, I don't know how many kids or pregnancies, and we looking at her like, and I started repeating. She has 3 pregnancies, 2 babies at home. Her doctor is, and that's when they came down to get her. 4 minutes later, we had a baby. 4 minutes of leaving that room, getting to the delivery room, he was born.